Hello and welcome. My name is Tony Hembrock and I work within the School of Educational Leadership here at Indiana Wesleyan University. Over the next few minutes, I want to take some time and talk with you about the orientation that you as a university supervisor will conduct with your cooperating teachers for your students. There are a couple of reasons as to why we do these orientations. The number one reason is because over the next 12 to 15 weeks, you and this cooperating teacher will be working closely together as you monitor the progress of our student teacher. Secondly, it is important that the cooperating teacher understand their roles and responsibilities as a cooperating teacher. And as a university supervisor, part of the responsibility we ask of you is that you connect with the cooperating teacher and ensure that they understand their role as a mentor and what responsibilities they have as far as evaluations and etc. Let's take a look at how you would conduct the orientation. Orientations can be conducted in multiple ways. Many of the university supervisors will go out face-to-face and meet with the cooperating teachers one-on-one. Some of them will choose to meet with the cooperating teacher at a local coffee shop or donut shop and discuss things over a coffee. You can also use a Zoom session or a Skype session. You can use a telephone. The method that you conduct the orientation is strictly between you and the cooperating teacher. You can choose the method that will work best for both of you in your schedule. One of the things we do ask is that you contact the cooperating teacher at least 3 weeks prior to the beginning of student teaching to conduct this orientation. That will give you plenty of time to conduct the orientation and plenty of time for them to be able to ask any last-minute questions before student teaching begins. Also, it is advisable that you schedule between 30 and 45 minutes to complete this orientation. If you do complete the orientation someplace other than at their school or online, you will probably want to have your computer available and internet access so that you can access the resources that you will be discussing with the cooperating teacher. First off, in the resource section of our website, and you can see at the bottom of this slide there, you can see the web address for our website. The Office of Clinical Experiences has a website, some pages on the Indiana Wesleyan University website that has resources and all kinds of other information that is important for clinical experiences. But there is a resource tab on that web page, and that resource tab will have all the resources that you as a university instructor will need, as well as those resources that our cooperating teachers will need. On there, you will find an orientation checklist that you can go through with the with the cooperating teacher. That checklist will have a variety of items on there that's important for them to understand and know. And so let's look at each one of those items here for just a few minutes. The first item on the checklist is our resources. Resources are important for them, and when I talk about resources, I'm talking about specifically things such as the student teaching evaluation instruments, our dispositional assessments. We have a beliefs, values, and commitments assessment that they will conduct and that you will conduct. There's other resources on there as well, as far as like the student teaching handbook. Those things are there as well. And so resources are important. So the cooperating teacher really needs to understand where to find those resources and how to use some of those resources. The second item on the checklist is our pedagogical assessment instruments. Now, these instruments, you may be familiar with them, but many of our cooperating teachers, if they're new cooperating teachers, they may not be completely familiar with these assessment instruments. It is advisable that you, as the university supervisor, take a few minutes to review these instruments before you meet with the cooperating teacher so that you can adequately answer any questions they may have. The pedagogical and evaluation instruments are located under the resources tab within the website, and they are clearly marked as being whether they are early childhood, elementary, or secondary level. If they are marked as secondary instruments are identified by content area, and they need to be used in that way. If you have a candidate who is an English major, there is a specific pedagogical evaluation instrument for English language arts. If you happen to have a candidate that there is no specific evaluation instrument listed for them, there is a generic instrument listed there that is just listed as the student pedagogical evaluation 5 through 12. And for secondary, and that's the one that you would use for that candidate. All right. The next item on our list is scheduling these assessments. It is important for you as well as the the cooperating teacher to understand how these assessments are scheduled. There are 3 times during student teaching when a pedagogical evaluation will be completed: towards the beginning, towards the middle, and towards the end of the program. There are 2 times when a dispositional assessment will be completed, and that will be towards the beginning and towards the end of the program. And then there is 1 time, right about in the middle of the program, when we will ask you to complete a beliefs, values, and commitments evaluation. So it's important that the cooperating teacher understand when those are coming up and when those are due. So if you can discuss those with them, that would be to everybody's advantage. The next item on our list is our suggested student teaching timeline. Now in the resources page, you will find a suggested student teaching timeline. This timeline is just what it says. It's a suggestion. It is not written in stone. It is flexible and can be adjusted as needed. But this is a good timeline that the cooperating teacher can use that will help ease the candidate into student teaching. It will help them get their feet wet, and then they gradually will assume more responsibilities in the classroom as they progress through student teaching. And then it also, towards the end, gives an opportunity for them to back off some responsibilities as they begin to turn that classroom back over to the regular teacher. Our 5th item on our list is accountability. It is important that our candidates are held accountable for their student teaching, accountable for their lesson planning and all the aspects that go with student teaching, in addition to their attendance and so on. So there is some accountability issues that need to be discussed with our cooperating teachers. And so those are things that we ask you to go over them to ensure that they understand what the candidates are accountable for and so on. Communication is the next one on our list. It is important that our cooperating teachers understand why it's important to have good communication. They need to have good communication with their student to adequately assess their student, to adequately provide feedback for their student, to ensure that their student knows what's going on. If they have suggestions for improvement or things that the candidate is doing that they shouldn't do, they need to have that open communication with the candidate to be able to talk with them about that, to correct those behaviors, or to give suggestions and feedback to that candidate. It's also important that they have open communication with you as the university supervisor. You will be the first line of defense for that cooperating teacher if they have any issues or concerns, and so there needs to be that line of open communication between the 2 of you as we go throughout student teaching. Next on our list are contacts. It is important that our cooperating teacher can contact you. As I said a while ago, that you are the primary contact for our cooperating teacher in the field. And so any issues or concerns that they may have, they will contact you directly. If they can't get a hold of you, they are welcome to contact the Office of Clinical Experiences, but you are that first contact that we want them to have. And so it's important that when you meet with them, that you ensure that they have your email address as well as a phone number that they can contact you as well, whether it be a home phone or a cell phone. They need to be able to get a hold of you via phone as well. And so if you can communicate those with them, also ensure that they have the contact information for the Office of Clinical Experiences. And you can see that listed here on the slide here. They will need to contact the Assistant Director of Clinical Experiences. They can use that email address there or the phone numbers to contact them at any time if they have any concerns and they're not able to get a hold of you as their university supervisor. Well, hopefully you've learned a lot in this presentation. I want to take a minute just to say thank you. Thank you for the dedication that you have to IWU, the dedication that you have to our candidates, and helping them to be successful educators in the future. We thank you just for the role model that you are and the godly men and women that you are and working in our program. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much for viewing this video, and we look forward to working with you in the upcoming semesters and years. And God bless.